myopusradio.
Something special.
Sanjay, back to you. So, a couple of notes I've got here. I was just asking Amit also about what you think of the current music trends in the country. Independent music, as they call it these days.
I think it's really just about starting, and there's really no parallel. We only have our pop music, which is Bollywood, and the pop music exists everywhere, but in the West at least there are some parallels, and there aren't really no parallels here. So until independent artists get the support of media, people in the record company, people with power, and more venues come up, that people have a platform to play and perform, I think that's what's going to change things. But right now it's still at its infancy stage, Yeah, and of course there are a lot of talented musicians, but I think they need to be encouraged more. They need to be given a platform to be able to do their craft.
Do you think performing in places like this, like Opus or like a Blue Frog or a Kyra or even like a Fireflies, helps broaden the horizon?
Definitely, every performance will spread the music. So that's one aspect of it. The other is, but it needs support from media. Otherwise, people aren't going to really take it probably seriously.
How does it function in the West? Like, for example, you had quite a noisy table here this evening. How, as a musician, how do you deal with it when you're on stage? And
I mean, you need to be able to as a professional, you need to be able to kind of just disconnect from it as much as you can, and just be in the music. And it's harder, especially with the set we just played with Amit, with just two guitars, and the music is kind of intimate, very dynamic. So it's kind of hard to do it. When you're playing with a louder setup, you can just drown out the audience, so it doesn't really matter. But with intimate setups like this maybe like a solo piano or just two guitars or guitar and voice, it's tough. It can be drowned out. But you need to go beyond that, basically.
And does this sort of thing, is this unique to India? I mean, as a mentality, or?
No, it's not. It happens everywhere. Every bar, every place, establishment that serves alcohol and food and all of that, and people come there to party, that's going to happen. Some places which are built just as listening places, perhaps you'll have people and maybe talk a little softer. You need, people need to realize that there's there are artists performing on stage, and maybe talk softer or something,
You said something interesting about the music in India being mainly Bollywood. So have you ever worked with films? You've worked with films, I know, as in Woman on Top and Leela, but were those strictly Bollywood? I don't know. What were those experiences like?
No, actually, well, I mean, I have to say that currently, I do a lot of work in commercial work in Bollywood. That's how actually I make a living, and I'm fortunate that I have a good mix of things that I do, and I've always done a lot of session work as a guitar player. So I do a lot of Bollywood scores, I do a lot of Bollywood songs, I do a lot of jingles. Not much really as a composer anymore, but as a session guitar player. So I work for other music composers. So I end up doing a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
And what's that like? Is it like, do you feel like torn? Do you feel like you're selling your soul, or do you just...
No, actually, because now after all these years, I've been able to, get myself where people call me for what I do. So I'm pretty much allowed to kind of do what I do. So that's nice.
But it took you a while to get to this stage, right? It didn't obviously happen overnight, like your first gig, I'm sure. I'm just talking about this from the point of view of there are a lot of youngsters listening to myopusradio.com, who feel that how dare producers call me to play something like a Bollywood running around trees number. But how do you deal with that when you're a youngster and,
If you want to do session work as a guitar player or any session player, you need to realize that you're fulfilling somebody else's vision. So when you're at the session, it's the producer who's calling the shots, yeah? So you need to respect that. You, as a guitar player, may not really know what the composer or the producer or the arranger wants on the gig. So you need to be able to deliver what they want. That's, they've called you to have you contribute something on their song, and it needs to be in context to what's going on. So you need to be professional enough to know that. And that's what you get paid for. So, I mean, you can go and do your own thing later with whoever you want, but when you're at a session, you need to be a professional and be able to deliver what the producer wants.
Last couple of questions. What do you think the internet has done to the music space in the world in general? I mean, you have MySpace, you have songs being downloaded every second in any part of the world. Has that helped? Is that a detractor? I mean, in terms of piracy?
No, I think it's... at first, I reacted. I thought that perhaps with the internet and all the songs being downloaded, the musicians are getting a bum deal. Yeah. But no, actually, I've changed my point of view now, because the internet is here to stay, and I think it's brought people closer together, and it's allowed people to network with each other a whole lot more. And if the music spreads and people listen to the music, why not? Far out. Anyway, the music business has changed. People, I mean, don't really buy records anymore. Most of the money that musicians would make would be from performance, actually. First of all, I mean, it's allowed me to be in touch with some of my heroes, to be able to write to them, maybe to send my music to them. So yeah, it's been a good thing. YouTube has been good, because you can watch pretty much whoever you want to. You can just type their name, and it kind of comes up, and you can hear them play and perform. So in that way, I think it's been really positive. Yeah. However, I mean, for all the young musicians who want to study seriously, I think it's not just enough to be able to just learn from YouTube. I think it'll help to go to an institution, or at least to learn from a teacher. Yeah, I think that would be better.
And last question, any words of advice, words of wisdom to youngsters, musicians across the world who might want to do what you're doing?
Well, I think first thing you need to do is to be able to, if you've decided to play a musical instrument, you need to try to obviously get better at, develop the tools of the trade. You need to be able to know your instrument really well. So whatever it takes to do that, either from a teacher or go to an institution, you need to obviously dedicate a big part of your life to music. You need to spend many hours on your craft. You should have a focus and kind of go toward that. And, whatever it takes for you to get there doesn't really matter if you have a focus. When I decided I would be a musician, it took me many, many years after I decided I would be a musician to actually start making a living playing music. And many, many years after that, where I was able to start making a really good living and get a name for myself. But it didn't really matter, because I knew where I was heading. And the only focus really was that I wanted to get better at what I'm doing and be a better musician. Try to learn as much as possible. Try to play as much music as possible. And then I think when you put out that kind of energy, the universe is going to give that energy back to you, I believe. So you need to have a focus, and you need to not give up. Have a lot of faith in what you do, and keep wanting to get better at what you do. Be humble enough,
Super. Thank you so much.
Guitar gurus Amit, Heri and Sanjay Divecha in an interview with Vivek.
myopusradio.